really close to finishing up my summer garden, and so I kind of want to give you guys a little walkthrough before everything takes off. So as you can see, we do have the 40% shade cloth up. This is not an expensive shade cloth. I know some people recommend the Illuminet kind because it lets a little more light in, but for where I am, I think that this is working out really great. I think I was a little bit concerned at first with the amount of light that was in here, but I've noticed the plants accommodating for it. They all have just these massive leaves now, just more surface area to absorb more light, and it's really cool to see. I'm actually really enjoying it. This is gonna be my first garden tour I'm gonna try to make, and very few takes, so bear with me. Here is the Cracker Jack marigold that I actually removed from the bed over there. It's doing really good. It only suffered maybe one day and it bounced right back. These marigolds are extremely resilient and they get really big. So honestly, I don't recommend planting them, at least not in the middle of your beds. Maybe on the edge of your beds would be better. Here are my Roma tomatoes, and they're doing really good. They're setting some fruit. I haven't lost any blooms off of these yet, and I don't know if that's because of the shade cloth or just because they are heat tolerant varieties. Here's my Chinese noodle beans. This is the red variety, and I went ahead and planted this whole trellis full of them. These are cowpeas. They do have some aphids on them, but I'm not too worried about it. The last of my tomato plants from spring are up. I'm getting a lot of ripening tomatoes pretty much every day. They're getting real ripe. This has been probably my favorite tomato, or I guess second favorite tomato. This is called the Indian Stripe tomato, and it's a very delicious tomato. It's really good. These are the Cordobu plants. They're getting big. I started these the beginning of May, and they haven't started blooming yet. I have some crimson, or I think it's called burgundy okra. This is a crimson spineless okra. That's the mystery plant. And my cucamelons, which I thought were dying on me, have suddenly sprung back up, and now they're climbing the trellis. It's hilarious because I wanted this trellis to just be cucamelons, but because they were basically dying, I went ahead and transplanted this over here, which I talked about in another video, to fill the trellis, and now they're both here. So I mean, I'm kind of bad at overcrowding my trellises, but here goes another one. This over here, this bell pepper, is my only bell pepper plant that's doing as good as this, and I'm really happy about it. This jalapeno plant is doing really well as well. This is a black cherry plant. Here's another one of those mystery, either the candy roaster, it's either a candy roaster squash plant, which is like a winter squash, or it is the rampicante or tromboncino, which it's a winter squash, but it can be used as a summer squash too. So we'll see what these end up being, and they should fill up this trellis really nice soon. So we have, this is some yellow zucchini. I wanted to give a try. And then we have some, just some yellow squash. These are more okra plants. I have some cowpeas interspersed in here inside of my green beans. I actually thought my green beans were going to give out on me, so that's why I ended up kind of succession planting some cowpeas here just in case. But it turns out that the beans are doing wonderful. I'm getting lots of beans off of them finally, and they're just kind of here together, and they're doing really well. This is the Principe Borghese that's going to fill up this trellis. I am the most excited for these. I can't wait to make sauces out of them, dry them, just experiment. They're supposed to have like a really concentrated tomato flavor, which is exciting. Here's some more cherry tomato plants. And I started all these cherry tomato plants, and like basically all of the new tomato plants I started from seed recently. So they're doing really good. Actually, about a month ago I started these, and they've grown this fast. That is the difference between using really good soil medium and bad soil medium, which was my like #1 mistake as a beginner gardener. But here's some more. I think that's a yellow pear, and that's another black cherry. And I'm just, this whole trellis is for sure just gonna be all tomatoes. I have some Arkansas Travelers started that are gonna go here. Do you guys see these little buggies? You see them there. That's why I like these bags, because if these bugs had it their way, they would be inside of that tomato plant eating it. So this tomato plant is definitely going to get pulled out. It's very unproductive, and I'm just not a fan of the flavor, and I also don't even know what it is, to be honest. I bought it from a store to fill in a space right here because I had that I forget what the variety was called, but it had herbicide damage, and so I ended up just pulling it out and putting this one in here, and it was just like a plant from my grocery store, but I don't remember what it was. I'm just really unimpressed with it. So I have my Arkansas Traveler plant started, and they're gonna go here. Another one's gonna go there. I'm probably gonna keep this Lemon Boy plant because the fruit is delicious. I think I'm a fan of like more yellow tomatoes over the red ones for sure. My Moon and Stars watermelon looks great. It's obviously growing really slow, and I'm gonna have to cut this bag off pretty soon and figure out how I'm going to protect it from the birds and the squirrels. I also haven't decided yet if I'm gonna get rid of this Sun Gold tomato plant. I love this holy basil. It just smells so heavenly. I'm about to take some of it inside and dry it and try to make tea for the first time. So wish me luck with that. Here are some more Chinese noodle beans. They're the green kind, and I sowed these a really long time ago. They took forever to take off because I had that melon plant here, and like I said, I'm like queen of overcrowding my trellises. I don't know what I expected it to do, but whenever I took the melons out, they really like had their way with the trellis, and they're doing really well. It's just not quite enough volume for our family, so they've been more of like a little snack than an actual like substantial harvest for us. I do have some more of, this is definitely the Rimp Picante that I have sold right there. I'm not sure if it's going to stay there. I might actually be putting Armenian cucumbers down in here that I have started in little 4-inch pots. I haven't made my mind up yet. I've changed what I'm going to put right here like 3 or 4 times. So I'm going to make the decision in the next week or so before the Armenian cucumbers get root bound. And here is my only surviving melon plant that just looks just awesome. I think this is a Sarah's Choice. I finally figured out what variety it was. I got this from my local nursery, and I did not realize that it was going to be like so resistant to a lot of the fungal issues we have here, and pests. Like it's like basically perfect looking, and I think that this melon plant is gonna last me, knock on wood, but I think it'll last me all this whole season. It has 2 melons on it, and I think once it's done, you know, putting off these fruit, it should start putting off more fruit as well. It's just focusing all of its energy right now on those 2 fruit. This bed is a work in progress, but if you can tell, these tomato plants have gotten quite large, and they're looking super good and healthy. This one has a little super bloom right here that I'm not gonna pinch off. I pinched off all the other ones from my first set of tomatoes, but I'm actually gonna let this one, I'm just gonna let it do its thing because I'm feeling more free in this next batch of tomato plants. is my Malabar spinach, which I was having trouble with this leafing out, but since we got the shade cloth, just like all the other plants here, they have just been leafing out really, really well. This is my Black-Eyed Susan vine too, which is also going crazy. See, like I said, queen of overcrowding a trellis, because I have Chinese noodle beans on here, Malabar spinach, and a Black-Eyed Susan vine. Like, what was I thinking? And I can't bring myself to pick any of them off, so they're just kind of sharing this space, and they're doing well for now. It just is what it is. I forgot to mention that I put some more little Romas in right there, and some perpetual spinach that I had started. And I wasn't actually expecting it to do well when I transplanted it out here, but this is day 2, or maybe day 1. We're getting into day 2, and it looks like really good. I gave it some fish emulsion today so it could green up some more, but I'm pretty excited to finally have chard possibly and some spinach, because I've been really missing from my garden some like really nice hearty leafy greens. That's been like the main thing that I've been, dying to have. The last thing I think I'm gonna show is this polar bear zinnia. It's from Baker Creek, and this is the first time I've seen such a pure white zinnia, because I do have white zinnias over in my butterfly garden, but they're more of like a cream. This one is stark white, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's so striking, and I love just walking into the garden and seeing it like first thing. It just like really stands out to me. But yeah, I just wanted to do a really quick walkthrough of the garden. This is pretty much everything I'm gonna have in for the summer, aside from the Arkansas Traveler tomato plants that I'm gonna plug in here soon, once they're big enough. But this is what we're looking at until probably winter time. This is both the summer and the fall garden for this year, and all thanks to my wonderful shade cloth, I get to do that. So this is why when you live in a really hot climate, really hot zone, you want to consider how much more you can extend your season with this. So I hope that this video was enjoyable to you. I hope that you subscribe and stick around for more tours. I love sharing my garden with you guys. I love being able to look back at these videos and see how everything transforms and changes. And because I'm such an indecisive person, it really does help me make decisions for future garden plans. So yeah, please stick around. I love you guys. Happy gardening.